A rally held in Melbourne last night called for increased military support to Ukraine after Australia refused its requests for Taipan aircraft. The government has been accused of burying Taipans, citing safety concerns as the reason for refusing to send the aircraft. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese was questioned over the claim, saying the government was acting on advice from the Department of Defence.
Why won't Australia donate its Taipan helicopters instead of dismantling them and putting them in landfill? And if the concern is safety, the Ukraine has set up a task force to work through those issues, and they're still saying that they would be of great assistance to.
Well, I answered this yesterday, and it's the same answer today, that we take advice from the Department of Defence on these matters, and secondly, to make the point that we've been substantial contributors to support for Ukraine, and indeed just this week there'll be further Australian Defence Force personnel leaving for the United Kingdom, providing support for that training effort in the Ukraine.
The Prime Minister speaking here in Melbourne on Thursday. Well, joining me now live for more on this is Stefan, the co-chair of the Australian Federation of Ukrainian Organisations. Stefan, always good to have your time. Appreciate that. So you had the rally last night here in Melbourne. What do you make of that language there from the Prime Minister as recent as Thursday?
Good to be with you again, Simon. Look, the Australian Federation of Ukrainian Organisations and the Ukrainian community, we work very closely with the Australian government, and we certainly acknowledge the support that the government has given Ukraine up until now. On the Taipans, again, we want to see the best result. I mean, we want to see the best result for Australia. We want to see the best result for Ukraine. And the Prime Minister's right. They've taken information from and advice from Defence. We think there should be a bit of an inquiry into this and how all this came about, because something really doesn't stack up on this. Ukraine has asked for these helicopters. It's taken all care, no responsibility being put on Australia. At the same time, the timelines of this, I mean, Defence went to 11 different countries, I think, looking for a buyer. Why not approach Ukraine? The reason for the importance, and our call out to the government now is this. It's the same as it has been for the last 2 years. We're on the cusp of the second anniversary. Ukraine needs support now. It needs military support now. I've just recently come back from Ukraine. I met with General Budanov. I met with General Zaluzhny. The message is pretty clear. Tell your governments we need that support now. So our call out to the government is now, on the cusp of the second anniversary, what's the next major package that Australia can provide? And we work in cooperation with the government, but on this Taipan issue, we think it could have been handled a lot better.
So what was the sentiment and the mood at last night's rally in Melbourne? Can you give us a bit of a sense of who attended and why? Yeah.
Last night's rally was, again, a rallying for support for Ukraine, hashtag stand with Ukraine, but also trying to get a better understanding of why this decision was made, why these helicopters that could have saved lives, given the number of helicopters that have been shot down by the Russians. And keep in mind, the Russian attacks haven't stopped. And the reason for some of these rallies, and we had a rally in Sydney and another one tomorrow, we had one in Canberra, in Hobart and in Melbourne, is to refocus on Ukraine. We understand there's tension in the Middle East, but this war in Ukraine, it rages. It continues every day. People, children are in bunkers, kindergartens, hospitals, car parks are being blown up. So the message is pretty clear that we're bringing back from Ukraine. Australia continue to support Ukraine. We keep talking about our role as a non-NATO nation being number one. We're number 6 now, I'm told. We want to get back to number 1. We want to work with the government. We acknowledge what the government has done. I was in Adelaide a couple of weeks ago when the Kudo operation soldiers were doing a pass-by. We're glad that they're going. They're going to be working with the Ukrainians. It's all very positive. But we need military support. We need military support now. And I think that Ukraine is crying out for that. If we're going to win, and let's just go back 2 years. When all this started, we all said, we're in this together. The message hasn't changed. The Prime Minister says, we're here to the end. Richard Marles has said, we're here to the end. Now Ukraine needs that help, and it's a war of values. We know that if Ukraine wins, the world wins. Ukraine loses, the world loses. And I keep reinforcing this, that it's evil. We're fighting evil. And the last thing is, as Winston Churchill said, give us the tools and we'll do the job.
Well, Stefan, appreciate your time. Thanks for bringing us your knowledge and of course, no doubt, your advocacy as well. And I hope you're keeping well. Take care.
Thanks, Simon.